Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I'm Peggy Carruthers, the Custom Content Manager at Food News Media, and I'd like to welcome you. Today, we're going to talk about competition crisis, not just restaurants anymore. When analyzing your competition in the restaurant industry, it's no longer enough to study other brick-and-mortar locations alone. From meal delivery to increased prepared food offerings from C-stores and grocery stores, your guests have a lot of different options when it comes to meal times. Today, Jessica Shalkusky, the Marketing Communication Specialist at Paytronics, will speak about what these innovations mean for restaurants to compete in an industry and keep up, while helping restaurants to also maintain a personal touch. We'll be taking your questions at the end of the webinar. You can ask questions at any point, so even though we won't be answering them until the end, we encourage you to ask them as they come to you. You can click on the dialog box in the upper right-hand corner and then click on the questions tab to submit. And now to begin. Jessica, welcome, and please take it away.
Great, thank you, Peggy. As Peggy mentioned, my name is Jessica Shalkusky, and I work on the content marketing team here at Paytronics, focusing on the restaurant industry. Paytronics serves more than 350 brands in the restaurant space, and that number is growing all the time. We provide tools and services for restaurants and convenience stores to engage with their guests through loyalty programs, gift card distribution and redemption, mobile application development, messaging services, and data analytics. Shown here is a sampling of our customers. It's important to note that Paytronics has no affiliation with any brand mentioned in this presentation unless stated, and any information regarding those brands derives from our experiences with them as consumers or from publicly available information. So let's take a quick look at today's agenda. We're going to look at who are the competitors to keep your eye on, what they're doing to increase their business, and what best practices and tips can you learn from this competition to add to your own strategy. So, when you're mapping out the competition and deciding, who is your competition even, there's 5 main areas to look at as a restaurant. You should be looking at convenience stores, grocery stores, meal kits, ghost kitchens, and then also you're competing with people's mindsets who may not be as interested in dining out as they have been in the past. So first, we're going to take a look at convenience stores. In a recent survey in April, 56% of Americans purchase meals at least once a month at gas station convenience stores, with younger Americans purchasing food at convenience stores even more frequently. 25% of people aged 30 to 44 purchased food 5 or more times per month at a convenience store, while 20% of those 18 to 29 purchased food at convenience stores 3 to 4 times. A significant portion of 18 to 29-year-olds purchased more meals from convenience stores than they did 3 years ago. And 75% of Americans believe that convenience store food service has improved in the past 5 years. So with convenience stores really making a push towards fresh food and food that's no longer just kind of sitting under a warming lamp, but is prepared right in front of you as you order it, it's definitely an increased area of competition for restaurants to be considering. And one way that convenience stores are really making a push kind of even further into what really used to be a restaurant only type of arena is in catering. So the popular Pennsylvania-based convenience store chain Wawa has long had a regional cult following, and now they're offering their customers the opportunity to order catering. So right now they only have full service catering available in Philadelphia, but in other locations, customers can order and pick up their catering orders at their local store. Their customers have the option of ordering donuts, bagels, and coffee for breakfast. You can get snacks catered like cookies or soft pretzels, or even their signature hoagies for lunch. So if you're kind of comparing what their catering options look like compared to the restaurant alternative, the Wawa Bagel Box Bundle costs $49.99 and serves 15 people. And that includes 15 bagels, a coffee to go box, 2 family size orange juices, and 3 bagel spreads. And that's comparably priced to what you would get for a Dunkin' Donuts catering order for 12 bagels and coffee for 10. So it's pretty comparable to what other options exist. And for people that are really passionate about the Wawa brand, it provides them that option to either order into the office for lunch or have at their next get together. As far as their full service menu that's currently only available in Philadelphia, that expands the options available to yogurt parfaits, breakfast sandwiches, or hot bars with cheesesteaks, brisket, and mac and cheese. So there's a wider range of food available through their catering. That's definitely expanding their food options and increasing them as a competitive threat. Because you may convenience stores are really offering more food than just those unhealthy options of the past. They're really branching out into fresh food and really healthy ingredients, just knowing that that's how consumer preferences are going as well. So, for example, 7-Eleven offers a selection of cold pressed juices as part of their Go Smart line, as well as a selection of salads for those health conscious consumers. So, for people whose mindsets might be in the past that convenience store food is unhealthy, they're really trying to do a lot to change that to try to capture people that might, otherwise go out for a salad somewhere else. So they're definitely stepping up their food game a ton. The next area of competition is the grocery store. You hear a lot about student loans and the effect that it has on the economy. And one of the effects is that for many millennials, home ownership is something that might not be in their immediate future. So they might not have a spacious kitchen well suited to cooking. So grocery stores still want to appeal to those customers who, maybe aren't just buying ingredients to cook at home. And what they're doing is increasing the availability of meal kits and prepared foods in order to capture those guests who lack the space for ingredients but still need to eat. So, grab and go food options and prepped meals ready to heat are just a few of the ways. Another way that they're looking to reach this generation is through delivery. So within grocery store delivery, this spring, Wegmans, a regional supermarket chain with 99 stores, mostly in New York, but throughout the Northeast, announced a partnership with DoorDash to bring hot meals from their grocery stores to their customers. Wegmans is known for having a pretty extensive hot food selection. So now their customers can get that delivered. The new service called Wegmans Meals to Go was launched at Wegmans stores in Sterling, Virginia and Rochester, New York, but will expand to nearly half of Wegmans locations by the end of the year. Orders must be placed through their new Meals to Go app, which provides options for carryout, curbside pickup, or delivery. And these deliveries powered by DoorDash will be available on orders costing more than $20 to addresses within a 5-mile radius of participating Wegmans stores. So, Wegmans is regularly rated one of the top grocery store chains in the country, winning the title of America's favorite grocery store for the third year in a row last year. Right on their heels is the southeastern chain Publix. And unsurprisingly, right after Wegmans announced their partnership with DoorDash, Publix announced that their popular pub subs would now be available as a delivery item through their Instacart grocery delivery service. So, as these two brands kind of battle for that top spot within their industry, it appears that they feel embracing delivery and convenience for customers not only looking for ingredients, but for meals is their course for the future as well. And then next, there's meal kits. So these have been around for the last couple years now and have been growing in popularity. And so there's really two different types of meal kits that people subscribe to right now, and those are those that are delivered to their home that they cook themselves versus those that are already cooked and just need to be reheated. And so, as far as the cook it yourself meal kits, which we'll look at first, over the last few years, they have really made cooking at home more convenient for guests, and their retail sales are projected to continue growing through 2023. A recent Nielsen report said that 14.3 million households purchased one of these meal kits within the last 6 months of 2018, which was a 36% increase from the year before, and 23% more households said that they would consider purchasing one. And these are really tailor-made for millennials who seek out convenience in their food purchases as well as personalization. It's why 60% of millennials have said that they intend to buy a meal kit compared to just 31% of baby boomers. So this is something that's really appealing to that younger generation. Um, but for many people, once the discounted introductory rate was over, these options became too expensive for the value that people felt that they were receiving. And a lot of people also don't think they're quite as convenient as they want. 9.3% of people stopped using meal kits because of the prep time still involved. The number of steps required is a reason that roughly 9% of people quit using meal kits. And another 8% said that it was the total cooking time. So the raw ingredients weren't convenient enough. So what was the next step for a meal kit? To already prepare the food and ship it to you so that all you have to do is just warm it up. And that's really the next wave of meal delivery. There's a lot of brands in this space. Freshly is just one of them, who want to eat healthy and not have to dine out or cook. Your dinner can be ready in just 3 minutes. Kroger, another supermarket, recently purchased Home Chef and has meal kits available for purchase inside their supermarket. And in addition, also has fully cooked, ready to heat meals. And so these begin at around $6.50 per meal and take as little as 5 minutes to cook. And they have a variety of different menu options available for them as well. But with a lot of these meal kits, another concern is that if you don't eat everything in time, there might still be food waste. So the third evolution of the meal kit is really branching out into frozen meals, which is interesting. So one brand that's moving into this space is called Mosaic, which was formed by former Blue Apron employees. And they think that frozen food is the next direct-to-consumer meal service. So they use fresh ingredients and then cook them before freezing them. And these frozen entrees come with packed sauces and garnishes, ranging in price from $8.99 to $12.49 per meal. So it's similar to a lot of the other meal kit services, and customers can subscribe for deliveries for every 1, 2, 4, or 8 weeks. So you can really space it out if you don't think you're going to be able to get to all the food that you have delivered. It'll still be in your freezer and will still be edible when you get the chance. The next area is ghost kitchens. So, if guests aren't getting these ready-made meals delivered to them through a meal kit service, it's likely they're ordering delivery, especially through one of the major third-party aggregators like DoorDash or Uber Eats. And so as these start to grow, more and more restaurants are deciding to, not really have that typical on-premise dining space and rather just optimize solely for delivery. So, these ghost kitchens, like I said, there's no storefront or dining area. So you can really just focus on off-premise orders. And there are a few different versions of ghost kitchens that you can see out there right now. One is the commissary kitchen, which is a shared kitchen space owned by a third party rather than one individual restaurant. So you can house multiple restaurants and share space and equipment. So for restaurant operators without a brick and mortar space, renting out space in one of these kitchens can be half the price of rent as a traditional space. For restaurants that have a physical location, separating out your delivery orders to this additional space can help during peak times when handling on and off premise orders at the same time might overwhelm the kitchen and deter from your in house experience. The second type of a ghost kitchen that you see a lot out there are pop ups, which are spaces within the main kitchen dedicated only for delivery orders. And this could be for the same concept as the main kitchen or not. So it could be a completely different concept that maybe you want to test out before dedicating a brick and mortar location to it, if you ever even go that route, but just dedicating a small portion of a kitchen to a completely different concept. And then there's pods. So these are kitchens in shipping containers, and sometimes these pods can double as drive-throughs. Deliveroo has used these pods in the past in the UK as well. So this is definitely something that is likely to continue, especially as off-premise orders just continue booming and really growing right now throughout the industry. And then you also have to compete with people's mindsets. So there's a lot of truth in the fact that Gen Z's tastes are a lot different from millennials, and especially different from Gen X or baby boomers. And one way that they are different is around dining out. So millennials and Gen Z tend to shy away from casual dining, but embrace fast casual. They also prefer healthier menu items and unique experiences, often preferring independent restaurants, which feel more authentic to them than national chains. However, one brand that has kind of succeeded against some of those opinions in attracting millennials is the Olive Garden. Even though millennials prefer healthy dining, may seem out of step with a place known for all those carbs, breadsticks, and pasta. Bloomberg reports that 30% of its customers are millennials, who cite that customizable food orders and the ability to place to-go orders as some of the reasons that they enjoy the chain. Customization is super important, as well as its convenience that still makes people, want to go there and get the meals to go. Like I mentioned before, they do also prefer healthier items. The Organic Trade Association says that over 50% of organic consumers are millennials, and they also eat 50% more vegetables than the people that came before them. So they might feel like dining out maybe isn't as organic, or they're not sure necessarily what ingredients are going into some of the entrees. So that's something else that you have to kind of fight against to get those people to want to go out and dine in restaurants. Um, the Spoon conducted a survey of over 1,000 households, and they concluded that 95% of people between the ages of 18 and 29 cook weekly at home. And when they're not cooking, they choose to order delivery or try out those meal kit services. There's a lot of options for people out there, and the younger generations are not as necessarily interested in dining out as much. 55% of millennials visit restaurants more than once a week, but 38.2% of millennials say that they never visit casual dining. So they are really gravitating more towards fast casual restaurants where it's a lot quicker and more frictionless and convenient than maybe a casual dining location. 78% of Gen Z members spend most of their discretionary income on food. And again, they're doing it mainly at fast casual locations. Gen Z is still very young, and so they don't have as much of income as some of the older generations. So they're very price conscious and looking to get the most value for their money as well. And speaking of being price conscious, almost half of Gen Zers say that they would pay more for food that they perceive as healthy, compared to 32% of millennials and only 21% of baby boomers. So health consciousness is something that is increasingly important to younger generations, and especially as in a lot of areas, calorie counts have become required on menus. It's all too obvious exactly, what the health consequences are sometimes of dining out. So that's again something that having those healthy menus and healthier dining options will draw some of these people back in. And while younger generations are often characterized as being consumed by their phones and technology, because they've actually grown up with this technology, what Gen Z enjoys in dining experiences is being able to interact face to face. And this is one main way that Gen Z differs from millennials. Gen Z really embraces dining experiences that include a group element. So they really enjoy tapas, dim sum, hot pot, or different experiences that really promote face to face interaction. And kind of related to that, they're also the most ethnically diverse generation, and this is reflected in their food tastes as well. They're very adventurous and looking to experience new flavors and new cuisines as much as possible. So what can you do? And one thing is to borrow the best ideas from all of these different realms of competition to kind of protect yourself and also grow your business. So the first thing is catering. If you're a restaurant who isn't providing catering, it's definitely worth looking into, because picking up even a few catering customers a week can make up for decreasing traffic from individual customers. And by implementing a rewards program with your catering, you can really entice your customers to place standing or repeat orders, especially really lucrative business customers. With convenience stores offering healthy grab and go options, younger generations like millennials and Gen Z are willing to seek out and pay more for those choices. So it definitely makes sense to see if there are ways that you can add some healthier options to your own menus. With delivery, as it continues to grow year after year, customers are continuing to pick brands that make it convenient for them over those who don't. So offering online ordering and delivery is increasingly important, and it's going to probably only grow and grow as the years pass. Subscriptions are one way to kind of take on the meal kit trend, no matter what form the meal kits take. Rather subscriptions. So it could be allowing guests to place standing orders where every Friday, maybe a pizza will automatically get delivered to a home. It could be in the form of sending your own meal kits to recreate your dishes at home. There have been some examples of, for example, delis that have a monthly subscription box where customers get everything they need to create some of their classic sandwiches at home from their favorite deli. You're also seeing brands like Burger King start up coffee subscription plans. So with a low-cost item like coffee, the hopes are really that these increased visits from guests will add higher-priced food items when they visit. So subscriptions are another hot trend likely to continue, and that's a great way to kind of combat that meal kit. As far as kitchen space, even if you're not sure about needing a second offsite kitchen, optimizing the space you do have for pickup and delivery is really smart. So there are some brands like Chipotle who have second make lines so that their digital orders don't disrupt the guests who are on premise. And by making sure that there's a designated space for your pickup orders so that you don't disrupt the flow of the line that's already at cash registers, that makes it that much easier for people or delivery drivers to pick up the orders and go. And then finally, give them what they want. So Gen Z is just coming into their own as spenders. So now's the time where you can embrace them as they grow in their spending power and make sure you get them early as loyal guests. So since digital experiences aren't really a feature, they're an expectation for this generation, online ordering and the ability to customize dishes to their specifications is important, but also recognize some of their other likes as well. So like we mentioned before, they're very multicultural. So introducing new flavors and spices inspired by world cuisine appeals to this group, as well as ways to share food and make dining a group experience. So you might want to experiment with small plates or looking for other ways that you can do that so that this generation is attracted to spend their dollars and their time with you. So as far as some key takeaways, if you're only looking at what your competitors in your segment are doing, you might be missing the big picture. The competition landscape is really complicated, but any brand that sells food should be viewed as a threat. And convenience is still key. So as your competition find ways to do what restaurants do, just make sure you can still do it better. All right, and then I think with that, we are ready to start taking some questions.
Great. Thank you so much for that information, Jessica. So as she said, we will be turning the space over to questions from our audience. Please use the submit functionality on your webinar console to ask questions. You can just click on the dialog box in the upper right-hand corner and then click on the questions tab. We do have two that have already come in. So we'll start with the first. Subscriptions seem like an interesting option to capture recurring sales. How could casual dining do a subscription?
So one thing that we have seen that's similar to a recurring subscription is a prepaid meal pass. It's not quite a subscription, but it's kind of along the same lines. So this is something, again, like the Olive Garden is great at with their never-ending pasta pass. So by selling these passes and having them valid, for a certain time frame is one way that you can really drive traffic into your locations and then upsell them on appetizers and desserts once they get in the doors. And we've seen these pop up in other restaurants as well. But I think the prepaid meal pass is definitely a really interesting option that some other casual dining brands can kind of get involved with this as well.
Great. And do you think meal kits are still a serious threat, or are they starting to fade out?
Yeah, so I think there's still a piece of the competition, but I think that industry itself really continues to evolve. I personally have subscribed for several of them myself from two of the major meal kit services, and there's always issues with them. It's just not ever quite as convenient as they try to sell themselves to be. So the first one I quit because ingredients were always coming damaged or I was missing things, and I had to constantly contact customer service. And if you're having to do that week after week, it's just not the convenience that you signed up for. But you keep seeing new different iterations of these subscription boxes. So I know the new one I keep seeing in social media ads are the ones for ugly produce, and some of those kits are coming in. So I think you're going to continue to see subscription food in different shapes and forms. I think they have a lot of work to do operationally to make sure that guests are having the experience that they want from these brands. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Frozen food as their latest kind of path that they're going down is less likely to result in some of those damaged goods that made me quit my meal kit services. But it's also not too much different from just buying a frozen dinner at the grocery store, or ordering from a grocery store and getting your groceries delivered. So I'm not sure how much that will actually play into things, but I think much more interesting is grocery stores delivering hot meals through not their grocery delivery services, but through DoorDash and Uber Eats and things like that. I think that's an interesting development, because that really puts them as much more direct competition, especially in those third-party aggregators where they're really going head-to-head with restaurants, to provide dinner to someone. So I think that's a more interesting piece of the puzzle.
Right. Well, thank you so much for the insights, Jessica. That's all the time we have today. So thanks to Patronics for making this program possible, and to our audience for attending. A recording of the webinar will be available soon, and you'll be receiving an email letting you know when it's available. Have a great day.